G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Aussie Starcraft Pro Level casting. We've got a TvZ for you today. In the top left we have Bomber, and in the bottom left we have Asylum. Now this is a game straight off the ladder. These are both Grandmaster level players. If you're not familiar with the players, Bomber absolutely dominated WCS Season 2 finals, managing to walk through to a victory and victory there. He had particularly strong TvZ in that tournament, so it'll be interesting to see if anything's changed since then, but we can expect him to perform very well. I'm not as familiar with Asylum, but I'm aware that he is a Grandmaster level player, so it'll be interesting to see how these two open up in this game. We are on Whirlwind, which is an extremely large map, prone to longer macro games, but with a relatively short distance between these two, they aren't at cross spawn. We could actually see quite a short and aggressive game. Bomber's playstyle tends to be extremely aggressive versus Zerg, featuring heavy biomine sort of play. He tends to get up to 3 bases very quickly, start putting on the pressure and never ease up. You can see almost a constant stream of reinforcements tearing across the map to reinforce his army. He's got exceptionally good macro, so we'll see if that comes into play today, or we'll see if Asylum can manage an upset against the dominating Korean. Alright, we can see Asylum's got his hatch down already. He's scouting with his first overlords. This overlord will not reveal anything, but this second overlord that we have moving out towards the top will pick up Bomber's starting location very quickly. Now, see, Bomber has in fact gone for the second CC on the high ground, walling off with a barracks. This is pretty standard. He played this way consistently in WCS Season 2. So won't be surprised to see quite a quick third command centre following this up in short order. See his refinery coming up as well for his upgrades. Over on the Zerg side of the field we have the spawning pool almost finished for Asylum, along with the natural expansion as well. Imagine we'll see a pair of queens as soon as this spawning pool's completed. We can see he's saved the money up there, and sure enough, yep, one. And when this one pops, yep, there we go, 2 queens. It'll be interesting to see whether Asylum has some sort of 2-base timing planned against Bomber, or whether he goes for the sort of standard early 3 bases with his Zerg. Bomber here trying to secure the low ground with a bunker. There's orbital commands on the way now. Up comes the factory. I think we can expect to see this with a fairly quick reactor and start seeing the production of those early mines that Bomber just loves to push with. The Bomber's still scouting around with these early overlords, looking to keep them alive for the crucial 6 to 8 minutes flyover that Zerg players like to do. Usually between the 6 and 8 minute mark you'll see most Zerg players using those overlords to gain the crucial intelligence for just what style of play the Terran plan to put out. Okay, if we look on the income tab, it's a fairly even game, 22 to 26 harvesters, and fairly low aggro. There it is. Pretty surprised to see Bomber dropping this straight on the low ground against Zerg, particularly with our Zerg in the bottom left. It's quite a short distance if Asylum wants to duck up here and try and deny or harass this base. So normally we'd see him build it in and fly it over, but I think he's obviously feeling confident and building it straight there at the third while he finishes his wall off of the natural. Mixing it up a little, it looks like Bomber's going for some early Hellions, try and get that map control and scouting, because up to this point he hasn't actually got a whole lot of intelligence as to what Asylum's actually got planned. We can see Asylum's got his creep spread going, a pair of queens down there working on that, and going up to a quick layer. Asylum's actually got quite a heavy saturation going, and very little in the way of units on the field, I think we can expect to see some sort of 2-base timing. This early with 6 guys is going full gas. It'll be interesting to see what he has planned for us. Let's see that Bomber does in fact have his stim going already with his double engineering bay on the way. Bomber usually gears up for a very aggressive push that generally starts between the 11 and 13 minute mark and usually works off a timing with stim and +1/+1. So we'll see if he's still using his tried and tested TvZ or whether he's got something new for us today. The fact that he's committing to so many of these Hellions is a little bit surprising, but he's using them to try and keep this creep back as best he can. But Asylum's actually doing quite well with 3 queens out here spreading this, doing quite well to keep most of these tumors alive. See Bomber starting to mine at this 3rd base. And still, if we look at the units tab, very little in the way of units on the field for Bomber. We have 6 Marines, 6 Hellions, as opposed to Asylum's 26 Zerglings, which are now moving out towards this 3rd base. This bunker's not quite going to finish in time. We'll see if Bomber can slip these Marines into it, or if Asylum's going to do considerable damage with this Zergling counterattack. And bunker's now up, but the Hellions have likely gotten here in just enough time to save that. See, the Zergling took out the Mule, which is a nice pickup. We have a very even game at the moment with 50 Harvesters to 51 SCVs. So, it's the first signs of the biomine play out of Bomber. 2 on the field and 2 to come. I think we'll likely see these first mines move over and try and secure this expansion. Keep it safe from any of those Zergling counterattacks Asylum's been using. Asylum staying pretty active with these Zerglings, scouting out, and might even try to slip into the main if Bomber's not careful with those depots. So he hasn't quite finished the wall off, as you'll see here. So it could be very vulnerable to a Zergling run by at a crucial time in the game. Asylum's now got up his 3rd base, and a macro hatchet is natural, as well as his lair. And we can see that he's going for some Mutalisks, which is a bit of a bold play indeed, as Kerrigan would say. Knowing Bomber is very Marine Widow Mine heavy, his Mutas will be very susceptible to some carefully placed Widow Mines. So we'll see if that indeed will be the case, or whether Bomber will be able to stave off these Mutas. And see Asylum just picking away at this push. The dangerous thing is with the amount that Asylum's committed to these Mutas, he has very little in the way of defense if Bomber chooses to push his base. And see these Mutas being highly effective, almost picking up a medevac there and moving through the main bases. If we bring up the workers killed, we can indeed see that Asylum's managed to pick up 18 workers killed, but there was 2 money Widow Mine hits, taking 2 kills on one, none on the other, but doing a fair bit of splash damage to those Mutas. These Mutas, it'll be interesting to see what Asylum goes for next, as these Mutas will very, very quickly lose their efficiency as the Widow Mines and missile turrets become more and more prevalent. Does indeed look like Asylum has little intention of switching up. In fact, building more Mutas, he's up to 23. So, and he manages to pick off those 2 medevacs. It's a very nice pick off. This army won't be able to stim quite as heavily as it would like to. It'll be very susceptible to these fly-in, fly-out sort of strikes that Asylum is using. Being very active with these Mutas. But remember, apart from these, very little in the way of units. 18 Zerglings and 2 Banelings will generally not measure up too well to this. If these Mutas get caught by a Widow Mine or 2, it could be in severe strife. The Overlord here, though, is there to prevent and try and detect those Widow Mines early. Well, the reinforcements continuing to get picked off, and Bomber GG's out of the game. An impressive upset from Asylum. It's not often in the current seasons that we've seen Bomber upset by a Terran so readily. But Asylum had excellent control with his mutas, taking very little damage from the Marines and Widow Mines, and managed to take them through the bases and collect that very heavy number of workers killed. 25 workers killed, managing to give him a significant edge in the game. I hope you enjoyed this cast. If you did, go ahead and give us a thumbs up down below or subscribe. We'll have plenty more videos coming up shortly. Plan to cast a few more of these high-level ladder games, and probably tonight or tomorrow move into some of the highlights from WCS Season 2 in anticipation of the Season 3 results, which will come over the coming days. Still playing the group stages at the moment, but those will end shortly, and excited to see who makes it through to the WCS Season 3 finals. Thanks guys, hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.